Who even came up with the term cannibalisation?
Yeah.
Like, where did cannibals and marketing, how have we married those two into a concept that we can use in everyday digital marketing?
Welcome back to Talking Candid, the number one podcast for all of your marketing updates. How is everybody?
All good. We've got a new guest as well, Liam.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi. My first time in the hot seat.
It's actually your 1 year anniversary today as well, isn't it?
It is indeed, yeah.
Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you very much.
How's it been? Has it been good? Traumatic?
Well, the year has flown. The day has been, very much... we've had some nice lunch earlier on, so just to mark the occasion. But, it's been, what can I say, a busy month. I'm glad to see the back of Jan. I think we all are.
Yeah.
It's not the favourite month of the year for us all, is it? It's been very much all hands to the pump. We've obviously have transitioned from my role as SEO executive into SEO manager at the start of Jan. So, it's been a hectic month, getting used to all the new roles and responsibilities. We've had Madeline come on board as well. So she's doing, really great. She's been with us nearly a month already. So, been settling her in and making her feel sort of welcome and getting used to everything that we do here at Candid Sky. So, it's been, a whirlwind, but we're now in Feb, so it's on go from here.
Yeah.
Bro.
We'll keep going.
Yes, of course.
I mean, we had strategies to write, didn't we? And then we had reports to write.
Yeah.
And now we're back at reports again.
Yeah, we're back at reports, Production work, then reports again. Yeah, it's been very busy and hectic, but everything's in place now. We've got some good strategies and some good growth plans going forward. Some exciting stuff as well, haven't we, that we can touch upon? Yeah,
we have. We've been very much focused on developing business in Australia, the two of us, haven't we? How's
It's
that
been a
for
lot.
you?
It's, you know what? It's actually progressed really well and a lot quicker than I thought. We really, after we kind of made the decision at the back end of last year to expand in Australia, we started putting the plans in place, and then we've had loads of meetings. We've launched the office. We've had press releases go out. I've had people message me on LinkedIn and say, "Oh, is that Martin Place that you guys are based? We're only just down the road." So it's been so amazing to see the reception from it, and being able to work on the sort of new proposals and sales pitches with you as well has been. It's been really interesting because they are very different in Australia, and we understand how the data works out there. We've got clients in Australia already, so that's been a really good journey.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely been an interesting one because we've just been exposed to so many different ways that people do marketing, the way that people pitch, the way that people create briefs. It's been a really interesting experience, and I think that's definitely something that I want to explore further today. I know that last week we very much touched upon our favourite pitches, our first pitches, and I want to explore how we can help marketing managers to pitch digital marketing to their CEOs and people who aren't necessarily bought into marketing, which I know can be a problem. Yeah. So how do we tackle it?
I think there's some fundamentals, but before you even consider working with a marketing agency, and that is to work with your stakeholders, managing director, CEO, FD, whoever it may be, to determine what are our objectives as a business, what are our goals, and what we're looking to achieve. And then based on the outcomes that they want to get in the business, what kind of budget do they want to put against that? And what do they think from, owning the business for such a long time and seeing the previous successes, what channels do they think initially are going to work for them? And then you approach an agency. So I think that's one of the first steps.
Yeah, I think one thing that I've noticed is that a lot of buy-in is required with digital marketing, particularly SEO, because I'm sure that you've experienced this. SEO is a compounding strategy that doesn't happen overnight, and that's hard to sell. So I think one of the things that we have to do internally is we have to develop forecasts. We have to be as precise with the data as possible. but sometimes that can get lost in translation. So how can we simplify as an agency how to help marketing managers?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think, you know, once you've got those answers from a company itself on where they want to go and what budget they want to put against it, I think our job in particular, and with any marketing agency in the world really, is to help that client understand their pain points. And for me, this is all about very clinical and smart questions. And when I say clinical, I mean in a diagnosing way, as you would do with a patient in a hospital. You know, you don't go up to a doctor and say, "Oh, my back hurts, I need surgery," and you jump straight in and he starts operating on you. You really, you know, your doctor sits down with you and he goes, "Well, where are you feeling the pain? What's going on? How long has it been happening?" He asks all of these questions to determine where the pain points are and what action is necessary. So for us to help businesses effectively, it's asking those questions and helping the client get a lot of clarity on what they actually want to get out of marketing, but then also providing them with the tools and data sets to get sign-off from external stakeholders, which you two will know a lot about as well.
So this isn't something that we really see just in the pitching process. I mean, working on different campaigns, CEOs want to be involved, and there's a level of buy-in that we have to get from them even when the campaign's running.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be like us creating the new strategies. We need to make sure that all of the stakeholders are there to agree upon our strategy so that we can commence with work. I know that you've probably experienced a little bit of pushback yourself as well over the past year. So tell me a little bit about what's been happening.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's, you know, when it comes to strategies, we can say, right, this is what we're going to do for, you know, the opening 3 months, 6 months or whatever of a campaign. But then it's actually the individual tasks within that. So if you're writing a blog, or you've got someone that's writing a blog and all of a sudden there might be a bit of pushback in month 2 because the strategy outlines that we're going to do blogs, but then it's what's that blog going to talk about? What's that optimization about? And with CEOs, obviously, they don't have the time that the marketing manager might have or that other people further down the chain in their business might have, and something might just come across their eyes, whether it be an email or something, you know, on an internal comms channel, for example, that they sort of cast their eyes upon and they question it and they want to sort of, you know, look at that. So it might be, you know, if there's a blog and it's like, well, what's the purpose of this blog? Why are we doing this? What commercial aspect of that is? So we've really got to sort of drill down into that and explain and be prepared to explain that when we least expect it, because that might happen at any given point across the campaign. It might be at the start, it might be at the middle, it might be, you know, we might have been working for a client for 18 months and have a really good, you know, trust and partnership with them. But if there's a little bit of a change in, you know, upper echelons of management in a company, for example, and someone else's eyes, you know, come across something that, you know, we've not sort of dealt with before in terms of someone else. So it's just keeping that communication channel open, and, you know, being prepared to explain and guide it with data. And this is why, and you know, this is going to be the result of it, as best we can. Obviously, you know, any changes that come about as well, we have to sort of be prepared to explain. So
yeah, I mean, I know that everyone's probably sick of them internally, but I absolutely love recording videos just because it helps to explain things. Even in the pitching process, I'm always trying to record videos so that so people can have like a point of reference. I think it's a really great way to explain without using too much jargon, because I think using jargon is like, it's very common in this industry. There's a lot of like technical elements. Yeah. There's a lot, but I think that can alienate a lot of people as well. Yeah. And sometimes it does look like that's deliberate. So as much as possible, I try to make it as simple as possible and make it nice and manageable.
What's your most hated jargon? Like the most common, say like the top 3.
I think, so just using like the technical terms like canonical tags and schema markup code. And I know that we as like an agency use those internally. Yeah. I think that means absolutely cock all to people, does it? So
no, it doesn't, not at all.
I'm just like, what's that? Why are you trying to look smarter than me?
I'm picturing me pre-SEO and some of those words. Obviously, if someone said them to me, I'd be like, I mean, Who even came up with the term cannibalization?
Yeah.
Like, where did cannibals and marketing? How have we married those two into a concept that we can use in everyday digital marketing? And I know it's one of the most commonly used terms, and it's probably been asked by many digital marketing podcasts and contributors, but it's just,
Yeah.
it's mad.
It's just duplicate. It's duplicated. Like, that's all you need to say. And I think that it can piss people off sometimes if you just, oh, yes, it's cannibalized. So you need to use a canonical tag. And really, what does it mean?
Yeah.
Like, if I was somebody working with, say, a dev agency to get a new website created, and they started talking about, like, really in detail technical speak, I'd be like, I've switched off. You've lost me. So cutting that out is really important.
Yeah, the one I hate the most is, and I've seen this in other agency pitches as well, because believe it or not, in the past when we've done pitches, a company will go, well, I'm getting like 2 or 3 quotes, and you're like, okay, that's fair enough, go through your process. And then they will like send over the other 2 quotes that you got to see if you could beat the price, but then you get to look at other people's proposals. And like there's so much crap that I find in there, like, oh, our secret recipe that no one else knows, and like, this is us, we're trailblazers, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so vomit worthy.
It is.
And the truth of the matter is there is no secret recipe to anything, to SEO, to paid media. It just takes really good expertise and experience, and that's it. Most really good SEOs and really good paid media people have very similar processes in terms of, this is what I need to do, this is where I need to do my research, and this is how I need to like activate this campaign for this particular client. Mm-hmm. And where people go wrong a lot of the time is that they'll do the formulas for all clients, but won't really look at the bespoke element where like industry they operate in or the audience targeting. So it's dead interesting to see other people's stuff as well.
Yeah, it really is. And I think, when people don't really have the knowledge of the industry and what's going to add value commercially, they can get led down by the wayside with shiny marketing campaigns. I mean, let's talk about PR. We all know I'm talking about PR here.
Yeah.
It's great in the sense of it supports SEO.
Yes.
It's great for brand awareness. But instead of SEO, is that going to drive any revenue?
No, probably not, because it's not a revenue-focused channel. It's a brand awareness kind of, what do you call it? Just trying to get to the masses.
Exactly. I think, that's one thing that I'd want to communicate to marketing managers. Mm-hmm. It's that you need to think about the commercial outcome always, and you need to communicate that to the higher ups, because if somebody came to me and I didn't have any knowledge of digital marketing, someone said, I can get you in Vogue, I can get you on the Daily Mail, the Financial Times, blah, 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 or I can write you a blog. And I can,
there's
do
only
little links, you'd think
there's one that appeals and one doesn't.
Yeah, and that's all it is. I mean, it's very much you're appealing to people, aren't you? Yeah. You're intriguing them, and it's very easy to fall into that trap. But 100% of the people that I've spoken to that have chosen PR over SEO have always backtracked. Yeah. They've always realised that there's no kind of commercial outcome. And I think that there's a lot of education that needs to go into the higher ups, making sure that they're aware of the commercial outcome, because you can end up just wasting so much money.
Yeah, I think that comes down to a lack of particularly agencies' attention to detail when it comes to kind of like the discovery and question phase. Mm-hmm. And, instead of clients maybe answering questions on why they actually want to do a campaign, PR people and agencies and salespeople and so on get them really excited about these like headlines, like you said, like Vogue. Oh, well, imagine your brand in this magazine, like us doing this. We'll work with these celebrities. And you kind of get these glossy eyes over like, wow, we could be famous and we could do this, that, and the other, and we're appearing here, and that means success. Mm-hmm. But if you really looked into the details and you asked a business owner or a CEO or a brand manager or a marketing manager, well, why do you actually want to do marketing? And they'll tell you, I've got targets to hit. Our MD says I need to achieve this amount of leads every single month or every single year. Our business wants to grow financially from, say, 5 million to 8 million. Everyone in a business has those targets to some degree. And, you know, this kind of like creative blast, which is really good, like in PR, like if it's working with other performance channels that are generating revenue, but if you're just relying that solely because it's attractive and you want to spend your budget on something that's going to give you a week of fame, it's not going to work ultimately.
It's as well as, not instead of, isn't it?
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think
exactly.
that's something that you really need to communicate.
Yeah. And I think that's important because, you know, this is never about one channel versus the other or which is better than the other. You know, I see this on LinkedIn all the time about, you know, Google versus Bing and Bing, you know, and TikTok and all this. And everyone's like kind of fighting each other. You know, you've got SEOs going, well, I love SEO and, you know, this is my baby, don't attack it. And then other people are going, well, I love social media. I love social media, so TikTok is like this. And then some people go, oh, I love PR. And it's just kind of like, well, if you all work together, it would make better sense for a client because, you know, there's not one channel that's more important than the other. You know, channels have their purposes. You know, performance marketing, revenue generating would be SEO, paid media, advertising. You know, you've got your brand awareness stuff, which is PR. And, you know, a website can be brand awareness as well. And people need to consider working together and putting those things together as a whole rather than viewing them as this versus the other.
And I think that really pisses me off, actually.
Yeah.
It's different kind of industries slagging each other off or different agencies going, well, don't work with them because she's does this and don't work with them because they'll give you their juniors. And I just think everyone just needs to chill out. There's enough work for everybody. And I think as digital marketers, we've got a responsibility to actually communicate the value of the industry because there's so much mistrust, but it's spread by the agencies. It's not because of anything other than like the shit that everyone else talks. So I think that there's enough room for everyone. We've got a responsibility to really kind of show the quality of the services that we provide. And that is also going to help to sell the marketing dream to CEOs and board level members because that's who we need to convince.
Absolutely.
So we've got a new segment. It's called Mythed Off Marketing, and we're going to be dispelling or proving some of the biggest myths in marketing. So the first topic is quite controversial.
Okay.
So does Google listen to you through your phone or your Google Home?
Now, I think that it does, but I'm going to sort of look at it from a, do I agree with it or not? Do I like it? So from a consumerist point of view, yeah, I mean, if I can get to a purchase quicker from an e-com point of view, if I'm looking at something that, or you know, if I've been speaking about something and later that week it's like, all right, okay, yeah, well, great, I'm gonna have a look at that and I'm gonna be able to sort of delve into that quickly and you know potentially make a purchase. Do I feel like I'm being groomed by it though? Like. From a do you know, is it consumerist grooming maybe? Yeah, I think that. I do think that. And does the pride in me say, I ain't going to make that purchase? I know that you were talking about, I know I was talking about that with whoever 3-4 days ago. And now here it is on my feed, prominent, jumping out at me, saying, buy me. But yeah, so I would say I don't want to do that, but I know that I have in the past. But then when it comes to, does Google listen to me? And we're talking it from a like, what are your views and your opinions? And do I get served content and searches that feed a certain narrative? Then I don't think that's right, but that's going down a political route and a social route that I could talk to you about for hours, but I'll keep it on marketing. But yeah, that's sort of my views on that. So I think it absolutely does. And I think that, yeah, we're being, groomed by capitalism and there's nothing we can do about it.
I always like a different point of view because I definitely don't think they do.
Oh, really?
Really? I disagree with it because I've seen these TikToks where like, you know, someone who's been in a relationship for like 5 years, for example, and they want the boyfriend to propose to them. And you see in the videos where they're like whispering like Tiffany, or like where they want to buy their wedding ring and their wedding dress and where the wedding venue is. So they'll get ads. So I definitely think there's a mass like consumer element to it where they do believe that they're being listened to, and that's how advertisers reach out to them. But what I find really interesting is that you can talk about a product or a service socially or a location to friends and family, and they might be in your house and they might Google it. And obviously the way cookies works, it's based on like IP address tracking and stuff like that. So something that Alicia would be looking for in our household, it'll pop up as an ad for me. Like we was looking at camper vans, and then she was scrolling 2 days later and she was like, I keep getting adverts for camper vans. Like, should we go on a trip? And I was like, I was actually looking at that a couple of days ago. So I don't know if that's why people think it listens, because they may have talked about it and searched for it, and then a couple of days later the ad pops up. Or maybe there is a chance that they do listen. I don't know, but from what I can see, there isn't any listen option in Google Ads.
Do you know what's really funny about that? How people look at things on the same IP and then you start getting advertisements for them. I started getting adverts for engagement rings, and I was like, like Luke's going to propose.
No way.
And then I realised I'd done a proposal for someone who sells engagement rings.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, that happened. But I'm gotta say, I'm in the same boat as Liam. I really think that they do listen, just purely because I've been out with friends talking about really obscure things, and my friends have started to get advertisements for them. I won't say what they are on the podcast. Just know it's really weird.
Okay.
But yeah, something that you wouldn't search for.
Yeah.
And I found that that's quite unusual. And there's actually been research conducted that says that Google Home does actually listen to your conversations.
Yeah.
Those can be stored. Those can be sent to Google for data purposes. And you have to actually turn it off in your settings. So whether or not that's tied to advertising or whether that's tied to the quality of the Google Home, I can't say for sure, but I've definitely seen that I've been advertised for some weird stuff after talking about it.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if there were like Google and other platforms were looking for ways to like better target people, because Apple introduced the kind of like a lot of restrictions on their phones. I think it was when the iPhone X was released, or maybe the 13, I'm not sure. But it allowed you to like opt out of tracking on like across applications. It really like tightened protections, and that meant that advertisers in particular found it difficult to profile people with Apple iPhones. So how else are they going to know like what you're interested in and what your age is? But you are right. They could very easily, like when your Alexa is listening to you, for example, I've listened back to some of the recordings. I don't know if you've ever done that on your phone. And sometimes it just catches a conversation where you don't even say the word Alexa. And so I can imagine if they were pulling out keywords like engagement ring or holiday, they could then feed that into their systems so an advertiser can target those keywords and then it pops up. So that is possible. I think it's plausible.
What if that was the case? Would you care?
For me, no. I think people get so overprotective about like the government spying on me, Google is spying on me, your Alexa is spying on you. I'm not that interested to be spied on. I'm just a normal person. It's like what it's true though. But
I'm just normal.
Unless you were like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, like where you could get some really, big intel.
Yeah.
Like who cares? And I wouldn't care, because at the end of the day, if I'm getting adverts that are more relevant to me, then great. If I'm getting irrelevant ads, which I do get on YouTube, I hate it. It's annoying.
Oh yeah, I'm a lazy bitch. I want to be advertised to all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love buying things online. I'm the best. I'm the perfect consumer.
Yeah.
I will spend all my money on online shopping, listen to my conversations, let me lie there with my phone on my chest and my double chin showing, shopping. If they can scroll for me as well, great.
Yeah.
I'm very much Very
Or
much
just
in
like
that
a little
camp.
hand that comes
Yeah.
onto the screen, that just
Yeah.
like a little hologram hand that just does the scrolling for you. Yeah, that's yeah.
They should
Yeah.
do eye
They can just
scrolling.
purchase for me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should do eye scrolling for like iPhones. You know, where you are sat there, like maybe you could just. I don't know if that'd be
Yeah.
tiring actually.
So, yeah.
You might end up with
an uptake in glasses.
Yeah.
You're just constantly going up and down. Yeah, it's a bad idea.
Yeah, you might have people who like develop twitches or something from that. Like,
And if you're an owner of an anti-wrinkle cream company, then you'd be really happy about that. 'Cause there'd be a lot of raised eyebrows and there'd be a lot of increased revenue for those products, wouldn't there?
oh yeah, a bit of Botox.
Yeah.
Start getting younger and younger.
That's a really good one. I would say it's plausible.
Yeah. So are we saying that we're debunking the myth or we're proving it?
I think it's no. I think that's we're proving it. I really do.
I think a really good way of actually seeing the truth in this is getting a device and clearing its history and cookies and all of that stuff and putting it in a room, say like up there, upstairs, and just saying words.
Yeah.
And
Over
then
the course
on
of
a
how
new
long?
on a new Google account over the course of a month, on a new Google account, and then just use the phone, don't browse products or do searches and see if any ads come up for the things you've spoken about.
Let's test it.
I think that
we
would
should
be a
test
really
it
good
and then come
test.
back. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, someone's just going to saunter up into that darkened room and say
Sweet
obscure
nothings all
words
day.
and nouns in a bid to
Yeah.
to prove this. No, it's a commitment to the cause.
Because you can just do it on a laptop as well, can't you? Do you think it'll work on laptops or is it just phones?
We could do both, couldn't we?
Yeah. Should we
Yeah.
test it
Test
out?
one of
We have a
each.
spare laptop.
Different,
Let's test.
different
You can get a
device.
phone.
Yeah.
I think also though, like, do you ever get? We understand it. We work in the industry. We understand search and sort of Google and algorithms and that, but relatives don't have that, and then they might say to you, my grandma might text me and be like, well, I was talking about this the other day and now I'm saying all this, and you've got to explain it and you try and you fail because obviously it just falls on deaf ears. But if someone that's as, for want of a better word, as dense as my grandma when it comes to technology, although she does use social media, so maybe I'm being harsh.
Does she? Wow.
Yeah, she does,
That's-
which my dad doesn't. So yeah, maybe I'm doing her a disservice. But if she can pick up on something like that and it's obvious, then there's got to be some truth to it. Well, at least
That's
we know what
true.
we're talking about. But I'm talking
true.
people who've got no marketing knowledge, and it's just they just see a screen and they're searching for something, and
Yeah.
that's the extent of what they know. So
It's so interesting.
It is. I guess that we can't really say one or the other until we do a test, can we?
Yeah.
So let's sit on the fence for this one, get some splinters in our arses and then test.
I would love that. That would be great.
Splinters in your arse?
No, the test.
So you said so you're both for it, aren't you? You're both for, like, you're not bothered by it if it's true.
I'm not bothered.
I think if it got a little bit weird.
Yeah,
you know,
where's the that's what I was going to
where's
say.
the
Where's
line?
the line? Where's the line in the sand in terms of what would be overstepping the privacy profiling? Where would you draw the line?
I mean, if I was arguing with Luke, say, for example, and my Google started chiming in and being like, hey, Lee, you're wrong. Have you tried counselling? I'd be...
Yeah, that's...
I'd be like, been in it. But I think for now, just having a little bit of targeted advertisement does nobody any harm.
Yeah. I think most people will probably agree that if a company's listening to you for profit, then it's probably going to be like, they're going to be like, oh, no, I don't agree with that. And everyone's going to have a different opinion. But I think, yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, you look at Snapchat, for example. Did you hear about the guy? And I'm not going to say what he did, but he was basically in the airport and he said something over a group chat when he was at the airport. Got on his plane to go to holiday. I think they was going to Dubai. And basically these fighter jets pulled up next to the airplane and escorted it back to the UK because he'd said something over Snapchat that the government deemed a threat. So the FBI does look through your Snapchat messages.
I'm glad I don't have Snapchat anymore.
Yeah,
no, I do
don't.
have it. I just don't have anyone on it. I just use it to make memes of friends, so I can use the editing tools. That's
and they literally they took him, they arrested him,
Just
and then they
laughing
questioned
at
him
my
on
nose.
why he sent that message. And basically, they like tried to get something out of him, but he said it was just a joke between friends because it was in a private Snapchat group. But we know now that they do monitor messages with the government.
Yeah.
For obviously Homeland Security, but it's people will be surprised at how much they're being spied on.
Yeah, I think, we're being harvested for data constantly in every walks of life, whether that be we're watching television, will be a specific demographic that's linked to a data set somewhere, the purchasing habits that we make, whether that be like the social media that we use. Our data's being used constantly. And I mean, as a marketing agency, we definitely benefit from that. So I think, where is the line? That's a good question, because we definitely, use people's data to our benefit as well. But it's never nefarious. There's never an intention to hurt anybody. No. It's purely to provide a better service. Make their lives easier.
Yeah, it's been something that's been happening for years, like with television advertising as well. And people don't see it this way. And I know that the data is a little bit more granular now in terms of like age and salary brackets and so on and so forth. But say in TV in the early 2000s when social media wasn't such a big thing, they'll get, who watches Coronation Street? It's obvious. They'll go out and do a survey in the streets of 2,000 people and say, what's your age? Do you watch Coronation Street? What character's your favourite? What do you like? What products do you use? What services do you use? Do you have this TV? And they'll gather that data, put it in a sheet, and they'll go, okay, we'll target these shows, and this is our demographic. So for an advertiser's perspective, they're like, well, if we're going to advertise our, Yorkshire tea bags, it's going to hit with that, that kind of demographic. So it's something that's been happening for years, and no one's had problems with it. It's just more detailed now and more visible and more accessible.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. Just for next week, we'll be talking about is TikTok a search engine?
Ooh.
Find out more next week.
Very cutting edge.
Do.